This episode of Capes and Lunatics is brought to you by Tweaked Audio. Get awesome headphones, go to tweakedaudio.com and use the coupon code Southgate to get 30% off, free shipping, and a lifetime warranty. Or you can get there through the link on our website, southgatemediagroup.com.
Hearties, and welcome once again to Full Stream Ahead. I be your captain, Charlie, the Professor Esser, and with me, as always, is me first mate and me skinny rich friend.
It's Mozz.
Hey, Mozz, welcome back to Full Stream Ahead. Tonight's episode, Agent Carter, Season 2, Episode 4. Smoke and Mirrors. You want to ask Mozz something, Tristan? Yes. What do you want to ask Mozz?
What's up, bud?
Do you think that She-Hulk will be worthy to lift Thor's hammer?
Do you think She-Hulk would be worthy to lift Thor's hammer?
Wow. Well, I would have to say no. More than likely. Right? I mean, she's super strong, but is she worthy in character? Is she, Captain America level worthy of it character-wise? I mean, I don't know the character very much, but isn't the point that very few people can? If everybody could, then it wouldn't be special. And I don't think, she's special enough to be the exception to the rule, or the one that changes the rule, perhaps, Yeah,
that's my opinion. It's hard to say, and that's a very fair opinion. And I think that I would say it is, I would not say that is something that I could totally see that she could not. I would not be surprised if she tried to lift it and could not. That said, she is a lawyer with a strong belief in defense of the innocent.
Sure.
And I believe she does have a very strict and strong moral code.
Right.
So, what I'm going to say is, it would not surprise me if at some point, as the build-up to a long story, they had that as the payoff. Because there are other people that get to do it. Like I said, Beta Ray Bill, the first guy to do it, the defender of his entire race,
Right. She's defending, petty crooks or, these kind of things. This guy's defending a universe, or a planet or a galaxy or whatever. So it's like, scale is important.
Yeah. But is it? Is worthiness about scale, or is it about the content of your heart? Because, Captain America, he's a hero. He winds up defending a lot of things, but at the end of the day, he's just a street-level guy.
That is a really good point.
And, not for nothing, there are other human-level characters who were just street-level guys who could pick up the hammer. Eric Marston was...
Is there something to be said for not being corrupted by the power also?
Well, yeah, and I think that's what it comes down to is, can you...
No, but how can you say if someone's good if they've never felt that kind of power? Or, to be Captain America and still be good is one thing, but to be you and be good is, Well,
yeah, and that's a fair cop. And I guess on one level you can look at that is that She-Hulk, of course, really has been a person who really has that power, but generally speaking has not indulged in the kind of, although that's not necessarily true because she has been a savage She-Hulk and a rampaging She-Hulk over the years, so maybe those disqualify her. Maybe she has too much darkness inside her to truly ever be worthy. So that was a fun little side conversation. Thank you, Tristan.
Thank you, Tristan.
Appreciate that. Yes.
That was just right up our alley, the kind of conversations we get lost in.
So back to the story.
Yes.
Season 2, Episode 4. I will say this. Would not surprise me if Peggy Carter was worthy.
I could see that. I could see that.
I think when it comes to worthiness, I think there are far more people who are worthy who just never either get the opportunity or would never just presume to lift the hammer. You know, that's the thing. Like, when Cap goes to lift the hammer, it's the first time it's just because, oh, it's the party. Everyone's got to lift it. Everybody try. And he's like, okay, I'll try. And then he's like, and he knows he could lift it. It's like, I'm not going to lift this and embarrass my friends. You know, I'm not gonna be this showy guy and lift the hammer. No, it says, oh, no, can't do nothing. And you know, he only actually does it when, you know what, there's nothing else. This, I need to do it now. This needs to be done, and that's when he does it. And I think that is that. And again, to what you were saying, it's, can you wield the power, and then can you have the power and choose not to wield it? And that is because, you know, for when we think about when Thor was actually sent back by Odin, it is to teach him humility. It is to teach him that just because that he has the power to do whatever he so wishes, you know, to be a god, to be a king, you must know not to use that power sometimes. Back to the story. Peggy and the SSR discover that beautiful Hollywood star Whitney Frost harbors a dangerous secret, and that she's more than just a pretty face. Mm-hmm. Oh, man. So this episode, we get a lot of backstory. This is a backstory-rich episode because we get both the secret origin of Peggy Carter, which I go back and forth on.
I hear you.
You know, the secret origin of Whitney Frost is great. You know, the secret origin of Whitney Frost, and I kind of feel like they almost like decided to give a secret origin for Peggy Carter just because, wow, we're doing one for Whitney Frost. I will definitely say they wrote the Whitney Frost origin first, and then said, oh, we should probably do something with Peggy too, and then they wrote an adequate origin for Peggy Carter. And also, for what it's worth, shows the wide disparity. Peggy is growing up in what appears to be an affluent family in England. You know, her brother, you know, she has this great relationship with her brother. She's a tomboy, but you know, and like the worst thing that happens to her is her mother doesn't want her to be so tomboyish. You know, but you know, the war starts. She joins the Code Crackers. You know, and you know, she gets engaged to some dude, which is cool, you know, and I don't think there was anything bad about the dude. No. I actually think if there's anything, it's just that Peggy had kind of been hiding who she really was to this dude, so he thinks he's marrying this other lady, and Peggy is someone different. And, you know, I don't think he ever asked her to hide who she was. I just think that she hid who she was because she felt she had to. Right. Which, you know, I guess, I mean, I get it. It's the times, and this is the world, and yada, yada, yada. But at the same time, I'm kind of like, you know, but did she have to? Is that really the best story for us to tell here? But that's the story they told. Now, and again, hey, here's a fun thing.
And it's almost like you're taking the choice to be a BA away from her. Like, she was forced into it because of what happened to him, and then she was spurned into it. But I guess all superheroes, you know, have that character that spurns them into it. So maybe I'm looking at it wrong.
What it is, it's not even that she gets spurned. She spurns her fiance.
No, I didn't. That's a bad word. Like, she was hurt by it, is what I meant, or she was spurred on. Yeah, spurred.
Maybe yeah, there we go. Spurred. Wrong. Okay, that's what you mean. Yeah. Well, yeah. No, you're right. And it's that's her Uncle Ben moment is when her brother dies. Right. Spoilers for a show that aired, you know, years ago. But still a great show. But yes, her brother dies in the war because her brother is the one who recommended her for the, I think they call it the SOE.
Oh, wait a second. I misunderstood that. I thought, that makes more sense now. Because the whole time I kept thinking that her husband died. But then I was like, so then was that the husband's mother that was with her in the room? Why would they? And I just never followed that thought long enough to realize, it was her brother that died. That just dawned on me now. So that's a little different.
A couple times, yeah. The first time I saw it, I got a little confused by it too. But it was, because they don't really give you a breakup with her fiance either.
Right. That would okay. So it kind of isn't taking her choice away. It is a different thing. Okay, so I like that better.
Oh, yeah.
Not that I prefer the brother to have died, but I prefer the choice to be hers to leave him.
Someone had to go in that fridge. She needed some girl pain. You know, she needed something to remind her of what it is she's here for, to be a fighter and to honor her brother's legacy, I guess. I
dig it.
We'll say. Let's say 3. But Whitney's origin.
Mm-hmm.
And again, this is something I wanted to say. She's from Broxton, Oklahoma, which, fun fact, is the city that Thor made the new Asgard in several books, where essentially Thor returns to Earth after the last cycle of Ragnarok. All the Asgardians are dead, and he's the last one to come back because Donald Blake shows up and picks up his hammer and becomes Thor again, and there's a whole thing. They're going to do some stuff with Donald Blake in a couple issues too, so there's a lot going on there. But just the idea that Broxton, Oklahoma is where, I just thought that was a great little thing there. And at the time this came out, Broxton was in all the stories because Broxton, Oklahoma is a central part of Thor mythos now. But anyway, in Broxton, Oklahoma, she is the super genius daughter of a woman who relies on the kindness of strangers, or at least people that
strange men.
Yes, or at least one strange man in particular.
Fair enough.
And who is essentially been taking care of this family until for whatever reason the Uncle Bud decides he wants a new woman on the side, and I guess he can't afford to. That's the thing.
Right, he's got one extra house, and it's got to go to the lady that
Gotta go to the lady what I'm putting in here, which is it's a sad thing. But we see right away, Whitney's a super genius. We get the rejection for her by I think it's Caltech, where she gets the rejection letter saying that, I'm sorry, we don't allow women in our program, which is just that. And again, this goes to show that parallel for Whitney, where it is Peggy comes from wealth, comes from comfort, gets to explore and be who she is, yet still represses herself, which is maybe not the best thing. Gets invited into the the S2E or the whatever it was, and Whitney,
that's right.
Yeah, and Whitney gets rejected from building herself to be what she has to really make herself. Really, she is that self-made Lex Luthor kind of character. In its own way, she's the super genius. She gets several patents, which I guess she uses to fund her way out to California after it's all said and done, because we see her doing her mechanical drawings on the kitchen table as her mother's being, tossed out, and her mother does this whole thing. That face, that's the only thing anyone cares about. No one cares about what's in your head, just what your face looks like. There's all that thing about her face, and of course she gets discovered by a smarmy agent, but I don't know if he is egregiously smarmy. Obviously, he is meant to be smarmy. We are not meant to see this guy as a nice guy.
Right.
But, the reality is she's got a pretty face. He's looking for a pretty face because he wants to get her work because he's going to get money from it. And
it's not like she ended up with a bad life. I mean, she's on the cusp of maybe being a first lady. So, smarmy as he was, he did offer her an opportunity, a door to walk through. And it was hers to make of it what she could. And boy, she was a genius after all.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, I'm sure that's why she got involved with Chadwick, because Chadwick ran this energy company, and she was.
And I don't think he would have gotten there without her smarts.
Well, exactly. She was able to show him how to become what he wanted to be, and it got her the chance to do what she wanted to do. Right. And that's what's great about that Whitney Frost character, and that parallel we see between them, about one person having advantages, and and kind of maybe even in this dark way to say, maybe Peggy's only a hero because she never had to deal with the kind of struggles that other people had. Which is maybe not a good way to phrase it, but when you think about a guy like Captain America, who, comes from this hardscrabble life, and really doesn't have a way out except just to stand up and have a moral center. Like, that's what makes that, Steve Rogers could have been evil. Steve Rogers could have gotten angry at all of the injustices in his life, and could have very easily become a supervillain, I'm sure. He's a smart guy. I'm sure he could have figured it out. Because, if you decide to stop fighting with your fists and pick up a gun, it's much easier to win those. It's much easier to deal with bullies. If you're that type of person. So, that is the difference in that thing. Now, I think Peggy, one could argue, would have maintained her nobility regardless, but the truth is she never really gets that moment until, one can argue that going into the SOE is that moment for her where she now has to face things outside of her comfort zone. And maybe that is even why they do play up that Peggy's kind of living the perfect 1930s lady vibe, why she's willing to work that and be that woman because it was easy. And then as soon as she says, I have something more to do with my life, she chooses to do good. So, I mean, there's different ways you can weigh on it, but I think that is something that undercuts the secret origin of Peggy Carter a bit, especially when you compare it to the secret origin of Whitney Frost. Because at no time, at no time does Whitney's anger ever seem unjustified. And so that she has turned to cruelty, it was a long, slow burn. And maybe if she hadn't had to fight for everything, maybe she might have been a better person. But then again, we can look that back when we talk about Jack Thompson and the idea that maybe he could have been a hero, but for the choices he made, and he turned out just fine too. But but maybe he would have turned out just fine. What did Thompson turn out fine?
That's debatable. I think I'd say at the very least
he's the head of an SSR office.
Sure, but is he a good person?
No, he's not a good person.
Right.
No, I didn't say he was a good person.
Oh, okay. You meant did he turn out all right as far as is he? Yeah, I got you. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like as far as food in his belly and respect of his peers.
Fair enough.
So that's what Whitney has, but she's not a good person, And is it the tragedy that makes you not a good person, or is it the choice to reject your own moral compass, as Steve Rogers might say, that makes you not a good person? So, a lot of questions, lots of things there, and all of that is the B plot in this episode, because there is an A plot, which deals with, of course, Whitney trying to test her powers. Which I find very fascinating. She's doing her scientific notes, and she's called out sick because the director disappeared. The director disappeared, so they can't do the film right now, so it's on hiatus. Oopsie. And of course Chadwick, he's just so worried about the election. Don't want any bad news to overshadow it, It's like, yeah, okay.
We have serious problems right now.
Yeah, we do. But meanwhile, she is testing herself with the rats, and I love the fact that she's like trying to will the dark energy to eat the rat, and it doesn't until it bites her. And then it's like, which is sort of like showing her about how it is an emotional trigger. it can't just be that she can't just will it. She has to harness the hate. She has to feel the hate flow through her. The anger. And that's,
I wonder if it's a living thing that's in her, and it has its own sort of triggers. Like, if it's hungry, it'll do it. If it's like, if you bite her, it is hurt, and it will do it. I wonder if it's a living thing that's in her.
Well, that's an interesting question, because we do see Wilkes have a moment when him and Peggy, or actually no, it was him and Jarvis, they're working on the math. And
right.
Jarvis is being his hands, Yeah. And he's staring at the board, and all of a sudden the board kind of opens up into that dark abyss, that dark dimension, if you will.
Did it seem like it was the same shape as the scar on her face?
Well, I think the scar's shape is also the shape of the hole that originally got ripped.
Oh, okay.
I think that's
enough.
sort of what it is. It's the idea of that rip and that tear in space and the tear in her. And, it's an interest, at the same time, this is always the thing, they were doing something with Dark Force energy in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because they had Blackout. But this is a very interesting take on it, because in this one, it's almost like a living goo. But the idea that it is tied to the Dark Dimension, which is where Dormammu's from, which, as we know, is a place without time, where things are in that static, unmoving state, it sort of moves in. There's a lot of interesting wheels turning in this, where if you really want to be a nerdy fan person like myself, you can definitely see where that can all lead. We see that Peggy and Jarvis, while they're staking out Chadwick, see that the Chadwick's bodyguard has a wound in the same place Peggy gave that ruffian a wound the other night. Oh, by the way, there's also that great. Was it this episode or last episode where Jarvis makes the joke? Yes. Oh, yeah. Because they show the alarm, and the alarm is Jarvis's voice saying, "Stand down." Oh, yes. I would hate to live forever as a disembodied voice in a box. Oh, irony.
Indeed.
Yes. So Jarvis.
And they capture the goon.
They do capture. Well, they follow the goon. They run his place. They realize who he is. They get out the tranquilizer darts.
Yeah, like the elephant gun that fires a tranquilizer dart. Like, my God, you don't need a gun that big to fire a dart, do you?
Well, I mean, if you wanted to carry that much, although it's weird because he says he used it on a koala, which kind of suggests it can't be that powerful. I mean, like, if he was taking out because you see him with the peacocks, but if they had an emu or something like that, that would definitely want something powerful. So
I mean, it looked like he was going to shoot like a rhinoceros or something.
Yeah, it definitely looked like way too much. Although then again, they say that koalas spend most of their life high, so maybe if you you got to get them really drugged up, man. They're just all coked out on eucalyptus, man. They're like, yeah, ooh, that feels good. Got any more of that? It's like, you want to knock out a koala, you really got to work on it. Anyway, that's a drop for you there, Phil. Anyway, getting back to the story. Yeah, so they do got the guy there. They tie him up, and Sousa, of course, realizes what's going on. Sousa does track him down and is very mad at Peggy that she was trying to. What she says is, "I was trying to give you plausible deniability." And he's like, "I don't want plausible deniability. I want to know what's going on. I need to know what we're doing." And he says, "You went into a dangerous situation without backup." He says, "I had backup," and it's Jarvis. And Jarvis, of course, has shot himself with the tranquilizer dart, so he's not helpful.
Oh no, Peggy shoots him with the dart, right?
Does Peggy? No, Peggy shoots the guy with the dart.
Oh,
I think Jarvis accidentally shoots himself with the dart after they catch the guy.
Oh, all right.
I'm trying to think that. Yeah, no, she shoots. I forget exactly how that. No, I don't think Peggy accidentally shoots Jarvis. I think Jarvis just accidentally shoots himself or something. But either way, Jarvis is completely knocked out. He's a bit of a lightweight. And of course, that's sort of what happens is they put the guy in the trunk.
So I think when she smacks the goon in the head with the gun when he's about to wake up, it accidentally goes off, and I think she shoots Jarvis.
That might have been it. Yeah, that makes sense. But anyway, yeah, it is. But, that's when, Sousa because they go back to the Stark mansion.
Right.
Sousa's waiting for them, and she hears the noise in the back, it's an ostrich, or, just let me out. It's like, well, it's not an ostrich, but they do go to do the interrogation, and they get a nice scene with the interrogation where, basically the guy is going to, essentially says, I've been through this more times than you can count. I've dealt with, and basically says to Susie, you were, on the White Cliffs of Dover. I was in Japan, getting, as a POW, getting tortured by the best, and you've got nothing that's going to scare me, which, arguably a fair cop. So Peggy utilizes a compound that Stark created that was meant to cure the common cold. Actually just gives you a super bad cold in the short term. And tells him that she's injected him with malaria. And, because that gets him to talk. Because once he realizes that he might actually be dying. And he needs this substance to save himself, he and for what it's worth, this is technically torture. His his eyes are red, he's getting sick, who knows how bad it is, but they get him to talk, and basically he says, you don't understand, and the people who I just ratted out to you, all I'm going to get from you guys is maybe a day and a half to get out of town, to try and get away from them, because these people, what they can't buy, they destroy. And, I think that is like the real kind of bring it in, this is how bad these people are kind of a thing. During the entire process, once he rats them out, they go to set up the entire they get their warrant. They're going to go raid the Arena Club, and that's when good old Kurtwood walks in and says, we need to audit your files, because I'm from the War Department. We sign your checks. You guys can't leave until we do this full audit, which clearly they know something's up. But they figure out what their plan is going to be, which is everyone's doing the audit. They give, Peggy puts a bug on the goon. The goon, of course, goes back to Chadwick and is broadcasting to them what's going on, so they can get more evidence to hold this, because obviously their word, when they can't produce the witness, is useless. But their illegal wiretap. Actually, I don't know if wiretaps were illegal yet. It's from the feds in the late 1940s. Yeah, maybe. But they're listening in as as he's talking to Frost, and but he doesn't want to say anything until Chadwick gets there. Once Chadwick gets there, he's basically saying what's going on. Like, he had to tell him, he thought they were trying to kill him, they were going to kill me, yada yada yada. And then Whitney cracks out her powers on demand for the first time, and our heroes are left listening as whatever is happening, and all they hear is this garble, 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 and then the last scene is, Chadwick's like, what did you do? And she's like, anything.
What are you?
Or something along those lines.
What are you? What a question. You're not even human. Oh, yeah. What are you?
Yeah.
Oh, so
and
good.
Then she says, whatever I want. Yeah, I think. Yeah, it's great. It is great. Because she realizes now she has the power. She has the power of the zero matter. She is the zero matter, and this is what makes her great and powerful.
Right.
And
she
that
doesn't
is
need
an
Chadwick
awesome thing.
to get to her goals any longer.
Exactly. And this is really awesome and really great, and I think we really love this aspect of it. And that is where we leave this episode. Any final thoughts on tonight's episode, Mozz?
One of the scenes that I really found fascinating was when Kurtwood comes to talk to Peggy by herself, and that moment where she realizes, oh boy, he's on the other side. He's not just, doing it for political whatever. He is really one of them. And I wonder in that moment if Kurtwood realizes that she realizes that, and is his next action informed by, yes, I know you know, but there's nothing you can do about it? Or does he still have that semblance of thing, I'm just the superior, I say what you want, and she doesn't think I'm on the other side?
Well, I think she's trying to do with her somewhat what he did with Thompson,
right.
Yes, which is to say, essentially, and what I mean with Thompson, I mean what he said with Thompson when he took Dottie Underwood from him, which was that the SSR, it's not always going to be here, change is coming, and you want to be on top of it. And the difference with this is she basically says, yeah, I think you'll do fine. And, even says, you're a very hard-edged woman, or a very obstinate woman. And he says, I want you to know I mean that as a compliment, And, and to say, I know you think you're going to get through this, and you probably will. Everyone knows she's working with Stark. Stark is still a power and a threat to everybody. This is why, he eventually gets killed. But she, Kurtwood knows there are limitations to everyone's power, and Peggy may come out of this like a rose at the end of the day, and seek her revenge if she's been wronged. But, he knows to let her know that might not be true for all your friends. And that, of course, again, implies that Sousa is not going to get out of this unscathed. And Sousa is not a person that she can always protect. Which, again, is kind of diminutive to Sousa, and I think that kind of annoys him later, too. Which is why he eventually gives her the bug and says, yeah, but you think I'm afraid of him because, I got a wooden leg? You know what? It's a wooden leg. If you shot me in it, it wouldn't hurt. So, but then they set up their plan, and that it's just great. And yet Kurtwood Smith is great in this entire series. Kurtwood Smith, he's a great actor. I guess he'll always be the villain from RoboCop to me, Boddicker. You probably think I'm not a very nice person, and he is not. All right, Mozz. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to us once again. I hope you're listening to this on Tweaked Audio headsets. Yes, Tweaked Audio headsets. That's TweakedAudio.com, where you can use the coupon code Southgate to get a discount on anything you purchase. Anything at all you purchase there, use that coupon code. You're going to get high-quality headsets delivered to you. And you know what? We can also use that coupon code Southgate over at huntakiller.com. Huntakiller.com is essentially an escape room delivered to your house once a month. And it's a lot of puzzles, a lot of clues. The conceit is that P.I. Michelle Gray is trying to crack a cold case and needs your brilliance to help her. So if you've got brilliance and you would like to help Michelle Gray, go to huntakiller.com, use the coupon code Southgate. And if that sounds like way too much work and you really don't want any of that stuff, go down to our show notes and find the link to Amazon. Amazon sells a lot of stuff, probably something you'd like. If you click on the link in our show notes, it'll take you to Amazon, and it will cost you nothing. There's no coupon code even to enter. And yet, we will still be acknowledged by the great and powerful Amazon, and we will be appreciative. While you're there, check out Pod Life, the book written by the Southgate Media Group, artistes about the wacky, wild, and wonderful world of podcasting. In the meantime, Mozz, if they would like to talk to you about the wacky, wild, and wonderful world of podcasting, how can they find you?
Oh, they can email me at mozzmanzoor@gmail.com or find me on Facebook under Mozz Manzoor. That's MOZZMANZOOR.
And, of course, if you'd like to write to me in that old-fashioned email way where Mozz and Poz once did do so at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, at gmail.com. Of course, follow me on the Twitters as I live tweet nothing. There's nothing for me to live tweet right now, but I may tweet. And if you would like to follow those tweets, it is at Charlie Esser. That's CharlieEsser. Look for the 2 E's in the middle.
For quality. Bing!
Thank you, Mozz. All right, you lousy landlubbers. Thank you for listening once again to our humble podcast. Tune in again next week as we sail full stream ahead. Arrgh.
Yarg.